Flow control is usually an easy, cheap, and effective mod, but not on the Hibrew H10B. It worked? Well, kind of. And in this video I'll show you how I did it, why it wasn't so easy, how it performed, and why I don't recommend this mod. Just opening this machine is a project on its own. I'll leave the step-by-step on screen so you can follow along while I talk you through the rest. The 11 screws removed are the easy part. The top cover isn't just a panel, it holds a PCB and the cable that connects to it is fixed with hot glue. So to work comfortably, you either remove that glue and unplug it or hold the cover up with something so it stays out of your way. Then there are 4 more screws holding the thermal block to the frame. You need to remove the clamps and disconnect the 2 hoses fixed to the thermal block. Underneath, you need to cut the zip ties to release the hoses that run to the water reservoir, the pump, and what I'm assuming is a flow meter. A few more screws after that, and only then can you lift the boiler out and finally see the pump and its connectors. With everything open, I checked the internal PCB and took some measurements. My best guess was to put the dimmer between the brown wire and the pump. I tested that later in the video and you will see that it was the right call. Electrically, this part is like most machines. I cut 2 cables and crimped on Piggyback connectors only because I didn't have spades on hand, and if you're doing this, use spades. It's cleaner and more reliable. 1 cable goes from the brown wire to the dimmer. The blue wire coming from the PCB attaches to the pump. The second cable you crimped connects to the pump as well. So what we're doing is simple. We are putting the dimmer between the brown wire and the pump. Reassembly is its own kind of pain. You reconnect the hoses and I hope you label them, but if you didn't, just follow along with my footage. Secure the hoses with fresh zip ties, turn the machine upright, connect the 2 hoses back to the thermal block and clamp them down. Before you do, check that the O-rings are seated. They seal the connections and prevent leaks, so don't skip that. Then, the thermal block goes back on the frame with its 4 original screws. At the bottom, you repeat the power cable and the flow meter. Now, you have to drill a hole to run the dimmer wires outside. The panels are very thin stainless steel, but you will still need proper metal drill bits. After that, reconnect the ground wires and the cable that runs to the PCB on the top cover. Close the top with its 2 screws, the group with another 2, and the bottom with the last 7. And you're still not done. You drill 2 more holes in the enclosure for the wires and the potentiometer, connect the wires to the terminals in the middle of the dimmer, fix the dimmer to the box with double-sided tape, and fix the box to the machine. After all of that, I could finally power it on and test it. I started with hot water just to push out any air trapped in the lines. And here, the dimmer did exactly what I wanted. Smooth, predictable control over the flow. Then I switched it to brew mode, and that's where it changed. Suddenly, it was very sensitive to the smallest movement of the dial, a tiny turn and the flow would drop a lot, from 3.5 milliliters per second down to somewhere between 1.5 and 2.7. The range itself isn't the problem is control. The drop isn't smooth or linear, so you can't make small, precise adjustments while the shot's running. That's the main issue. And it gets worse. If the flow drops too low, the machine circuit reads that as running out of water. It throws the error E2 and shuts the pump off in the middle of your shot. So fine control is already hard, and pushing too far kills the extraction completely. If you want to install this yourself and experiment, now you know exactly how I did it. But I don't recommend it. The control is too wild to be useful. If the flow gets too low, the machine's protection can kill your extraction mid-shot, and it's a lot of work to install for something that doesn't give you a real advantage. What I still don't understand is why the problem only happens in brewing mode. I suspect that the small white round component at the bottom, the one I think is the flow meter, is sending signals to the board and triggering the E2 error. If you know what's going on here, tell me in the comments, and if there's a way to bypass it, I'll try another solution in a future video. But for now, if you want to manage the pressure, I recommend opening this seam valve to bleed some pressure off, as I showed in my previous videos. Just a reminder, this machine was sent to me by Hibrew for my tests and the reviews I posted previously, but they didn't have access to the content, tests, or conclusions. They don't recommend any of these modifications, and if you do it, you will almost certainly void your warranty. And this reminds me that in my next videos, I'll test some great budget grinders. There's also an interview with Ken Zhang, the CEO of Hibrew, coming soon. When we see products with very similar design, like if we see the Longidarica Hibrew H10B, is very similar. Are they all manufactured by the same, I don't know, OEM factory? I was always a bit skeptical about thermoblocks. What is your take on that? Are you planning to have some boiler machines?
The boiler machine, it's useful for.
If you want to see my detailed tests and conclusions and this interview with Kenny, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss it. And the last reminder, I'll also start running competitions and winners will get some of the equipment I test, like this modded machine. I'll cover shipping up to 30 euros, import taxes and customs are on you. And I want to run these competitions at least every 3 months and after milestones like 10,000 subscribers. Everyone can enter for free, but to increase your chances, memberships are now live. 3 tiers, starting at 99 cents a month. Entries are weighted by tier and how long you've been a member. So joining now multiplies your chances. That's it for today. Thanks for watching and ciao!